Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
Virgil, where you come from?
There ain't no trains this time of morning.
I could have had you shot.
Skulls caved in. Could have been a hitchhiker.
I got him.
Where's my husband?
I thought I told you to get the hell out of here. You aren't taking me anywhere, you dig?
You gonna get yourself killed.
I'm a police officer.
Look, they pay you $162.39 a week just to look at bodies. Why can't you look at this one?
Why can't you look at it for yourself?
I do not want that Negro officer taken off this case.
I need a few things, such as ammonium hydrosulfide, benzidine, superoxide of hydrogen, copper powder, distilled water, calipers, and some toothpicks.
Why won't anybody here tell me what's happened to him?
Are you sure you're pregnant?
Yes, I am pregnant.
I can pull that fat cat down.
I'm afraid you're a little late, Virgil. We already got the guilty man.
May I examine this person?
Yeah, you can look at him. Come on, let him look.
He's left-handed, isn't he?
What's that make him?
Innocent.
I got the motive, which is money, and the body, which is dead.
You're holding the wrong man.
But don't you push me, boy.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
What kind of people are you?
Look in her purse. She's got $100 to pay for an abortion.
They've got a murder on their hands. They don't know what to do with it.
In the heat of the night, seems like a cold sweat creeping across my brow. In the heat of the night.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Jimbo, and joined once again by the lovable, fluffable
Kyle. Lovable and fluffable. What does the fluffable mean? We'll find out in this podcast.
Today, this is episode 76, where we'll be talking about a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Racially tensed movie. This is probably the first movie since we did 12 Angry Men that has the racial undertones, prejudices, but we are doing the great Sidney Poitier In the Heat of the Night. Kyle suggested this movie. He wanted to do this movie, and I thank him for it. It was a really great movie. So, Kyle, take it away.
All right. In the Heat of the Night. It's hard not to sing the song. But that was In the Heat of the Night, released on August 2nd, 1967. Directed by Norman Jewison. Writers include Sterling Silliphant, wrote the screenplay, and inspired by a book by, I guess, the same name, written by John Ball. Producers was Walter Mershich. Composers were Quincy Jones. Cinematographer was Haskell Wexier. Editor was Hal Ashby. And casting director was Lynn Stylemaster. For the budget, we have only $2 million, which would be the equivalent of about 16.9 million today. But for the gross, here on IMDb at least, it's listed as only making $27,669, which is practically nothing. That would have been equivalent of like $250,000 in today's currency. So it's just like for an opening weekend for like a film. Actually, this is gross worldwide, so probably for the whole year. Basically nothing. That's incredibly sad.
Which you're about to find out, though, it did win.
Oh, it certainly won. And in the long run, I'm sure it did just fine.
Right.
Moving on to the technical details here, we have a runtime of 110 minutes. For the sound mix, we have a mono mix from Westrex Sound. Color info, this is a color film.
Well, I mean, this movie, if you're going to watch it, there is, and this is why we put our disclaimer at the beginning of these, is because different time, different era, people weren't treated equally.
This film is all about, like showing the ugly side of racism.
But not only that, but not only that, by the end of the movie, the sheriff and Sidney Poitier's character, Mr.
Virgil Tibbs. Detective Virgil Tibbs.
You can see they have a mutual friendship forming.
Appreciation,
right?
Yeah.
So
it goes in a positive way, but it's still a very, it depicts a lot of the ugliness of racism, especially down south in like Mississippi and places like that, that you would associate with during the time of the 60s. Very sad time, and unfortunately, in some ways, we haven't improved as far as we hoped. But
so just a trigger warning: they use a lot of racial situations, racial wording, if you
language,
will.
Yes,
right. But it's a good movie.
It's an excellent film. It's one of my favorites. That's why I kind of like I've been pushing for this one for a few months now. Honestly, just trying to get on the log, and we finally got the time for it made sense, and so that's going to push. That's what we have it going on right now. But it's absolutely one of my favorites.
It's a great movie,
and I feel like it's it's no secret. The past few years, we've definitely had some difficult times, specifically around the issues of race, and I think it's a good film to kind of. Both fortunately and unfortunately, this film was kind of relevant today, and kind of understanding the difficult relationship and history of authorities and people of color. But anyways, that's going back to the technical details, which I got off topic on there. We went on to the aspect ratio, which is 1.85 by 1. Camera was the Michelle BNCR. For the laboratory, we have the Deluxe laboratory was in Deluxe Hollywood in US of A. The film length is 310 meters in Sweden. I don't know why it has that particular technical detail there for the jargon. But process is spherical. Next up, we're moving on to and most important of the whole thing, the awards. Blah, 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 blah. And the awards were huge for this film.
Very. And I did not know this when I watched this movie.
And historically charged as well. So unfortunately, this was 1968. It was going to be a few. It was going to be the original airing for the Oscars was going to be, I forget the exact date it was, but essentially it was the exact same time that Martin Luther King was unfortunately assassinated. And so they delayed the Oscars by a few days and then recaptured it. And for the Oscars of 1968, it actually, in the heat of the night, won Best Picture. So that was a huge honor for that film overall, and I think it's well deserved for 1968. Also, Oscar winner for Best Actor in a Leading Role was for Rod Steiger, who's playing Chief Bill Gillespie. Sorry, words. And then we have Oscar winning for Best Writing for Screenplay based on material from another medium. That went to Sterling Silliphant. Then we also have an Oscar win for Best Sound for the Samuel Goldwyn Sound Department. Then we have another Oscar win for Best Film Editing to Hal Ashby. Then we have another Oscar nominee, which is not a full win, for Best Director for Norman Jewison. Then another Oscar nominee for Best Effects with the Best Sound Effects for James Richard. Then moving on to the BAFTA Awards, we have a winner for Best Foreign Actor went to Rod Steiger. For the UN Award, we went to winner for Norman Jewison. Sorry, there we go. Gotta get that word right. The BAFTA Film Award nominee for Best Film from Any Source went to Norman Jewison. And another, moving on to, we have the American Cinema Editors USA. We have a nominee for Best Edited Film for Hal Ashby. Then we have the Edgar Allan Poe Awards in 1968. We have the Best Motion Picture Award going to Sterling Silliphant. Then we have the Golden Globes, Best Motion Picture Award for Drama. Golden Globe Award for Best Actor with Drama for Rod Steiger. Then we have a Golden Globe winner for Best Screenplay, Best Director nominee, and Best Actor nominee. And Lee Grant also got a Best Supporting Actress nominee. And another nominee for Best Supporting Actress, Quinn Dean. Then we have the Grammy Awards, actually, for Best Original Score written for a motion picture or television show. The writer was Quincy Jones, but the song, of course, was performed by the legendary Ray Charles.
Go ahead, Kyle. I know you're waiting.
In the heat of the night. It's such a good song. He's
been singing it all morning.
It's a great earworm. It gets in there. We have the Kansas City Film Critics Circle Awards in 1967. It was the winner for Best Actor and went to Rod Steiger. Whew, we have a lot of awards here to go, folks. Then we have the Laurel Awards for 1968 going to Golden Laurel, the Golden Laurel Award for Drama. Then the Male Dramatic Performance went to Rod Steiger, and the Male Dramatic Performance went to Sidney Poitier. Next, going forward, we have the National Film Preservation Board in the USA of 2002. It was a National Film Registry winner, so now it's part of the National Film Registry. Then we have the National Society of Film Critic Awards. It was the NSFC Award for winner of Best Actor went to Rod Steiger. And then Best Cinematography went to Haskell Wexler. Yeah. Moving on forward, we have awards for the New York Film Critics Circle Awards for the award of Best Film, Best Actor went to Rod Steiger, and Best Director went to Norman Jewison. Whew. Online Film and Television Association in 2012, we have the Film Hall of Fame winner went to character Sidney Poitier. Then we have the Online Film and Television Association Awards in 2016. We have the Hall of Fame winner for Best Motion Picture. Also went to the film for In the Heat of the Night Awards. Then we have the Sant Jordi Awards for Best Foreign Film went to Norman Jewison. Best Performance in a Foreign Film went to Rod Steiger. Then we have the Writers Guild of America in 1968 for Best Written American Drama, given to Sterling Silliphant. That's the winner. And that is the awards.
You're right there, bud. That was a long awards. That might be the most you've ever done.
That is definitely, definitely the heaviest load I've taken on.
Until the cast now.
Which he had
to do the cast till he reached one single person. He wanted to make sure this person got in there.
Exactly.
And it was the very last one, so his notes are
so I definitely I filled out the whole page this time. But anyways, for the cast for In the Heat of the Night, we of course have Sidney Poitier playing Detective Virgil Tibbs. Sidney Poitier, definitely known, actually legendary actor and a huge life, even outside of his work of acting, a huge life in his own light. He, of course, is best known for films like I Guess Who's Coming for Dinner in 1967 of the same year. Also for To Sir with Love. In 1963, Lilies on the Field, and the 1958 film The Defiant Ones. Sidney Poitier, just a legendary actor, his own right.
Great actor.
Also, a native of the Bahamas, but also born in Miami, so he was a Bahamian and an American citizen.
A Bohemian
citizen, sorry. That's the correct pronunciation. I'm going to butcher this a little bit here. Yes, and also he was actually an ambassador to Japan as a Bohemian representative to Japan, which is insane to me. So he's an incredibly eventful life. I believe he's 94 years old now, so he's definitely still alive, still kicking. Great guy. Definitely worthy of all the praise he receives. Next up, we have Rod Steiger playing Chief Bill Gillespie, another great actor in his own right. He appeared in such films as the 1954 film On the Waterfront, 1964 film The Pawnbroker, and another 1964 film Duck You Sucka. That's a great. I love that title. I made sure to get that in. He was in other films too, but I saw that. I'm like, that's the one that gets in. That's the one I'm counting. Next up, we have Warren Oates playing Officer Sam Wood. Even such films as the 1969 The Wild Bunch, the 1973 film Badlands, 1981 Stripes, 1974 in the 1974 film Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
That sounds awesome.
I know, right? That was a great name. Is that a lot of these stuff I'm just taking notes of, like, oh, that's a great name for a film. I'm going to have that be the note that I have for this cast here. Going forward, we have Lee Grant playing Mrs. Colbert. She was in such film as the 1951 film Detective Story. She was in the film 2001 film Mulholland Drive. And the 1975 original movie Shampoo, the musical, I believe that's how it stuff. Then we have Larry Gates playing Eric Endicott. He was in such films as the 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1958 Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and then we have the 1967 film Hour of the Gun, another great title. Then we have James Patterson playing Mr. Purdy. He was in the 1972 film Silent Night, Bloody Night, the 1969 film Castle Keep, and the 1964 film Lilith. Take a breath here, gotta breathe, make sure I don't spit on the pages. And then we have William Charlotte playing Mayor Schubert. He was in such films as the 1957 film The Tarnished Angels, the 1967 film Hour of the Gun 2. He was also in Hour of the Gun. And he was in the 1987 film Inner Space.
That's a good movie.
Inner Space is a movie we gotta put on the list someday. Then we have Bay Richards playing Mama Kaliba. She's also known for the 1967 film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, the 1972 film Stanford and Son, and the 1989 film Drugstore Cowboy. Then we have Peter Whitney playing Courtney. Peter Whitney plays Courtney, best known for films such as the 1943 movie Action in the North Atlantic, 1953 film The Big Heat, and the other 1953 film All the Brothers Were Valiant. Yeah. Then we're going on. I'm just gonna go here, just actor and role here, not other movies they're in. We have Kermit Murdoch playing Henderson, Larry D. Mann playing Watkins, Matt Kark playing Packy Harrison, Arthur Mallet playing Vlam, Fred Stewart playing Dr. Stewart, Quentin Dean playing Dolores Purdy, Scott Wilson playing Harvey Oberst, and then finally we have Timothy Scott playing Shagbag.
Shagbag. You wanted to make sure you got to the
I had to get the Shagbag. That was my number one goal, to get the Shagbag.
So Kyle, I'll take the synopsis for you, since I know you're about to pass out because you smoke a lot and need a drink.
Talking's really tough, guys.
So basically, the synopsis of this movie is a murder has taken place in this town
of a very important businessman. I can actually do a little bit of it.
Right, but yes, of an important businessman. And they're going to look for suspects because the sheriff's like, hey, did anybody see anything? Did you lock down everything? And so the one officer goes and he sees to the train station, and Sidney Poitier is standing there, who obviously is a black man, sitting there waiting for the, I think, 4 a.m. train, I think is what he said.
4 a.m. train to Chicago.
And he's in a suit, sitting there, and this is where it starts, because he says, get up, turn around.
The police officer immediately
pulls his gun.
A random black man. This is obviously got to be the murderer of the suspect. Right. I've never seen this black man before. So,
well, and he's like, get in the back of the car. What are you doing here? Blah blah blah. So he takes him to the police station, takes him into the chief's office. The chief's worried about his air conditioner, and he sets up. And then this is where he says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And then we'll just see about that. And he's like, "What do you?" And he's like, I'm a police officer.
Yeah.
I work in Philadelphia. I'm the homicide detective. And he's like, well, we'll just see about that. Give me the. He's like, call my lieutenant. Captain. Captain. Call my captain if you don't believe. So he gets on the phone and come to find out that yes, he is verified. And when he hands Sidney Poitier the phone that the captain wanted to talk to him, he says, "You've got to be kidding me. They're not going to want it," and all that. So he hands it back to the chief, and it comes to find out that reluctantly, that the captain from Philadelphia has told Sidney Poitier
to assist in any way
to figure out this homicide.
Yeah.
And
he's the best homicide detective they have.
Right.
And that's why he's offering his services to them.
And Sidney Poitier doesn't want to be there. The sheriff reluctantly agrees. And the townsfolk are just beside themselves. You see this through the whole movie where there are racial tensions. There is a scene where there is a cotton field with workers in the cotton field. But you can tell there's scenes where Sidney Poitier is trying to, what's it, Tibbs? We'll call him Virgil Tibbs.
Virgil Tibbs. Mr. Tibbs.
Yeah, where he's trying to deduce, like he goes to the car and he tries to find the evidence in the car that the businessman was running. Well, the businessman's wife wants to know, hey, what's going on? So they come to the real quick realization that it was this one guy, and Virgil's like, no. He's like, that's not the right evidence. You know, he observes the body in the morgue because they brought this one guy in and he was right-handed or left-handed, and he's like, nah, the guy who was right-handed that killed him.
The guy who killed him was definitely right-handed. Right. It had to be.
So, so he decides to stick around, which to the dismay of a lot of the police officers and a lot of the townspeople, but the CEO's wife says, I want this man to stay on the job. He's the only one.
He clearly demonstrated that he's capable. Yeah, so like he's like, we have to have this. Like she demands either keep this
if
man.
If
has
he doesn't stay, I'm taking my company and we're going elsewhere. And you guys depend on my company to support all these jobs and bring all these jobs. So the whole racial tensions all between the sheriff and him, they gets to a boiling point where he's like, I'm just leaving. You know, whatever. You're going to do what you want to do. I'm leaving. So you see the scene where he goes to the train. He's like, look, he's like, I need you to stay. He said, if she pulls that company out, he's like, that's a lot of jobs for the town people, a lot of jobs for people of your color. You know, he tries to sugarcoat it by saying, hey, you know, it's not only going to affect us, it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
So he decides to stay. And the payoff for this movie at the end is fantastic. I don't want to ruin anything if nobody has ever seen this, but there's enough twists and turns, and the determination of Sidney Poitier to get the person that is responsible and how they get there is a great treat.
It's so good. It's so logically consistent too. It pays off such a great.
And I had never seen this movie before, and I'd watched In the Heat of the Night. The TV show with the great Carol Connor and all them, and Bubba and all them. Now, Kyle didn't know there was a TV show, but there was a movie before that where Carol Connor played too, which spun off the TV series. And my son last night when we were watching this, because I had started watching it, I was almost towards the end, about last 30 minutes of the movie, and he looked at me, he said, Dad, he's like, is that the one guy? I said, you mean from All in the Family? He's like, yeah. I was like, no, this was before that. But it looks just like him.
They captured the aesthetic perfectly. In the show. Yeah.
So basically, it's a murder mystery with a local town sheriff and a black detective from Philadelphia have to work together to find the comic killer.
And it's just a little more of the stage setting thing. Like this all takes place in like Sparta, Mississippi, a fictionalized Sparta in Mississippi during the '60s. So southern town in the '60s. That's why you have like the racial tension going on there of a random black and successful man, a black police officer going into the city and being treated as poorly as he is.
You know what? And one of the funniest parts of this movie is when he first comes to the police station and they go through his wall. He's like, where you got all this money from? He's like, how much do you make a week? He said, $162.39. He's like, that's more than I make. It's like,
they'd be all floored. Like, what do you mean he makes this much?
Yeah.
It completely baffles them.
It was great. So here we go.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it. We'll hit on this as we go through the movie, but this is a great movie.
Absolutely,
you have to watch it. So Sidney Poitier insisted that the movie be filmed in the North because of an incident, because this was actually filmed in Illinois, because of an incident in which he and Harry Belafonte were almost killed by Ku Klux Klansmen during a visit to Mississippi. That's why Sparta, Illinois was chosen for location filming. Nevertheless, the filmmakers and actors did venture briefly into Tennessee for the outdoor scenes at the cotton plantation because there was no similar cotton plantation in Illinois that could be used. Poitier slept with a gun under his pillow during production in Tennessee. He did receive threats from local racist thugs, so the shoot was cut short and the production returned back to Illinois.
Yeah, and that's another topic. Like, it is. There are moments of like it is so it can be seen as so over the top now that it can almost seem as being as laughably absurd, but it's also depressingly sad and true that history is so very close to us.
Right.
Like you would think as this film goes, it'd be like fictional, over the top or something like that, and then the sad reality is like, if anything, they could have been holding back.
That's what's great about this. This was actually filmed at a time when people of color were not treated the same, and it won the Academy Award, the Oscar for the best picture of the thing, which showed that it's still, because they were really scared about releasing this in the southern states because they didn't want a backlash and riots and all that because a black man portrayed in this film as a successful detective.
Yeah.
So they were worried about the money, if you will. The producers were worried about, not the producers, but the investors worried about the money, the returns of this movie.
And you see, like, from like what IMDb says right here, like it basically made nothing out of it when it began. So clearly it was like almost a boycott to this film to a degree, or like suppressed by local theaters, I imagine, especially in the South area. So it is.
But it also there was no riots or anything because of this movie. Nothing happened.
But it doesn't demonstrate, like, it takes it must have taken a tremendous amount of courage for everyone involved in that film to actually make it in the first place and to release it. And it it clearly illustrates all too well the struggles that that people of color went through in the 60s, and to an extent still struggle with today in many regards. For all the worst ills. So I don't like the one. I don't mean to get all too serious during this podcast so that we keep it lighthearted, but also like it's a very charged film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one thing you'll notice if you watch this film is the sheriff, man, he goes through this gun. He chews this gun
all the time.
The whole entire movie, he's gum. So Rod Steiger was asked by the director Norman Jewison to chew gum when playing the part. He resisted at first, but then grew to love the idea and eventually went through 263 packs of gum during shooting. That's a lot of gum. This was the first major Hollywood film in color that was lit with proper consideration for an actor with dark skin. Haskell Wexler recognized that standard lighting used in film produced too much glare on most black actors and others of dark complexion. He toned down the lighting to feature Sidney Poitier with better results. So it's the first time in history that they actually did that. Yeah,
and it's also still a thing that a lot of films struggle with today, to a degree. Like it's a unique knowledge set specifically to light characters of color in film, and because still today the leading man is typically white, it can be a little bit of a lost skill to some people. Mm-hmm. Even like now, recently, it's a bit of a struggle in films like even like Black Panther or like Watchmen. They have like similar struggles. Like they had to find people and resurrect that knowledge to do it right now. And as it hopefully continues to improve. So, good overall.
According to Sidney Poitier, Tibbs' retaliation slap to Endicott, which was Larry Gates, was not in the original script nor in the novel of the film. So basically, they get up, and the white guy just hauls off and slaps Virgil. Yeah. And Virgil just slaps him right back.
And immediately.
And everybody's just like
instinct. Just pure shock. Right. That is such an iconic scene. Perhaps like the most iconic scene of the actual movie.
Poitier insisted that Tibbs slap Endicott back and wanted a guarantee that this scene would appear in all prints of the film. According to the Sterling Siliphant, the slap was in the original script, though it was not in the novel. So the scene that took place at the sheriff's house featured dialogue that came out of improvisations between Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. So if you watch that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Set in a hot Mississippi summer, but filmed during the autumn in Illinois, many of the actors had to keep ice chips in their mouth and spit them out before takes to prevent the breath from appearing on camera during the night scenes.
Oh, wow.
So that's very interesting, too.
How cold it actually was. We were cold this morning.
And you can see it. I forgot exactly where in the movie. I think it's at the end where they go to the diner.
Probably like one of the last scenes.
And I think you see Sidney Poitier's
There's a little bit of stuff in there that's like, maybe it's cold out there. Similar to kind of like Shining almost. Oh, no, the exact opposite of Shining.
Mississippi was eventually ruled out as a location to the existing political conditions. Sparta, Illinois was selected as the location, and the town's name in the story was changed to Sparta so that local signs would not need to be changed. The greenhouse was added to an existing house and filled with $15,000 worth of orchids.
Wow.
So
$15,000.
This is frequently cited as Sidney Poitier's favorite of all the films that he's done.
Yeah, his personal favorite film he's done, but also like a favorite of like people who watch his films.
The movie's line, "They call me Mr. Tibbs," was voted as the number 16 movie quote by the American Film Institute.
It's such an iconic line. They made that line the sequel of the next film.
I know.
I think that's hilarious.
Distributors hesitated to release this movie, as we said, in southern states because of the potential for trouble and violence due to its theme of racial conflict. As it turned out, there were no reports of violence occurring at any venues in which this film played. So,
excellent. Yeah, that's a good thing overall.
Right.
Yeah.
Ironically, Warren Oates and Lee Grant were among Hollywood's group of actors and actresses who played racist roles or were in racist films, but were themselves upfront and vocal in support of the civil rights movement at the same time. Others of this included Shelley Winters and William Shatner.
I imagine that's such an incredibly difficult. I would be incredibly apprehensive if I was an actor being cast in a racist role, like particularly like having to play as a very vocally racist person. I would find that very difficult because I would hate for someone to look at my face and ever think that I'd be a racist.
But then
person.
Again, you're going out and in the real life, you're an activist.
Yeah, hopefully you are. But it's got to be a challenge. It's like you want to keep that balance because like if you're known for having those roles specifically, eventually people are just still going to try and associate you with those characters you played. I would be incredibly apprehensive to play that and like try and make a big portion of my life being focused and like make sure I'm doing the right things to show people that I'm not that bad person, or to actually ever have someone think that like me acting that way would anyway validate a racist person. You know, that's gotta be, it's tough for an actor to do. You know,
the sloppy scene we talked about earlier between Detective Tibbs and Endicott was shot in just 2 takes, and the slaps the characters made to each other's faces were real. According to a detailed account Norman Jewison provided in 2011, Jewison let Larry Gates rehearse by slapping him because Jewison wanted to make sure that Gates could slap hard enough. So they didn't want no sissy slaps or bullet slaps. They just let him have it.
Just go for it. No.
Rod Steiger spoke in Southern dialect consistently for the duration of this entire film, which is amazing because sometimes you can see characters lose that as the film goes on, or they left to take in where he didn't.
It goes to show how impressive this film is. Like if you've not watched Rod Steiger in any other film, you would just think that's his accent. He does it completely naturally to him. To me,
this was banned by the South African Publications Control Board, as were many of Sidney Poitier's films. I don't know why, but...
Well, the word South kind of leans into unfortunately.
But, I mean, it was a South African publication.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's more reasons to that.
Yeah. Virgil Tibbs was ranked hero number 19 in the heroes category of the AFI's top 100 heroes and villains list. In 2007, the American Film Institute ranked this as the number 75 greatest movie of all time. It was the first inclusion of this film on the list. Because they always update that.
Yeah.
Bay Richards, who played the abortionist Mama Calaba, played the mother of Sidney Poitier character in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So that's pretty amazing that these movies came out the same year and they're in the 2 films together. That's great.
Also, I got one thing I wanted to briefly say about that scene in particular. I love the dialect they both share in that scene between Mama Kaleba and Virgil Tibbs, and how they both speak and like, "Are you gin drunk?" and all those other kind of words and terminology. It completely throws the language of like, this is how they want to depict 2 black people speaking to each other in America with a little bit of a different Southern dialect to them. Very interesting to kind of see overall. I cannot say anything with accuracy because of course I don't know, but it was very interesting to see it, the whole kind of mood kind of change up a little bit in that whole little scene. Just a little side note.
Virgil's salary of $162.39 per week would be roughly $1,285 in 2020. The cash in his wallet was $127, which comes to $1,005. So that's how much he had on him. Virgil says he's not married here, but in the sequel, They Called Me Mr. Tibbs in 1970. He obviously has been for many years.
Yeah.
I've never seen the sequel, so I can't.
I personally haven't seen the sequel either. But it's very clear, like in the scene where he's in Chief Gillespie's.
Well, when we're done here, we might go up to the local video store up here, see if they got this on video, DVD. I might have to see that. I'd like to watch that.
If not, I'm sure it's available online somewhere. Like you can still find the DVDs. It's hard to find digitally nowadays. Which we do most of our films here.
George C. Scott was the first choice to play Chief Gillespie, but he was unavailable due to the Flim Flam Man, 1967. Another great title, Flim Flam Man.
It's always one of the things you miss out on when you're doing it.
The brawl that they have, basically, Sidney Poitier is getting chased by 4 white men, and they end up in this like warehouse,
train station kind of thing, shipping station.
It's a maintenance shed, is what they say. It takes place under a sign that reads, "Let us all be alert. We don't want anyone hurt." So I was like,
saw that too.
How ironic.
Yeah.
This is the favorite film of actor Danny Glover.
Oh wow, that's cool.
This
Danny Glover, love him.
beat a number of films that also went on to become iconic to win the 1968 Oscar for Best Picture, including Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Cool Hand Luke, The Dirty Dozen, Bonnie and Clyde, and The Graduate. In Cold Blood and Dr. Dolittle also competed that year. So that's a lot of great movies.
It's an impressive year for that. For movies in that case. So
AMD E7A number 103, the locomotive feature at the beginning at the beginning and end of this film, originally purchased by the Alton Railroad and acquired by GMO&O in 1947 when it bought out Alton. The producers rented the train and the crew for this movie. Mm-hmm. Robert Mitchum was offered the role of Gillespie, but he declined. This is the only Best Picture Oscar nominee that year to be also nominated for Best Sound Effects, which is interesting in its own right too.
It's one of those things like when the sound effects done so perfectly, you don't really notice it necessarily. But it's just like everything was done so right, you don't think about it. So that's why that makes it all the more impressive.
Now this is one of them crazy facts, so I'm going to throw that in here for the kids. Sir Mix-a-Lot's song "Sleepin' With My Funk" includes the line "Check in like Virgil Tibbs." So I had to throw that in there because
if Sir Mix-a-Lot loves it, you know it's good. That's what you got to take home for you guys. Respect Sir Mix-a-Lot too. Get your knowledge, kids. He likes big butts.
When director Norman Jewison and editor Hal Asby attended a sneak preview for this film, they found that the young audience was laughing uproariously at the dialogue. Although Jewison was upset that his dramatic film was not being taken seriously, Ashby assured him that the audience was laughing in approval of the Southern sheriff being put in his place by the confident and urban detective Virgil Tibbs.
Agreed.
Jewison did not agree until the film got to the famous slapping scene when the white audience was stunned at seeing an African-American man physically fight back against a white man for the first time in modern mainstream American film. Jewison was convinced the film was effective as a drama.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Right.
Yeah.
When Virgil Tibbs' car is being pursued through the junkyard approximately an hour into this film, the camera tilts up from a close-up of a discarded baby doll lying among the debris. This subtly foreshadows the fact that an abortion is central to the murder mystery plot, which I didn't understand that at the time, but going back, you can tell.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't realize that time either. Well, I didn't realize it until just now, until getting explained to me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and also one of the things I may have notes here later on, but I know it's like as soon as they get to Endicott's estate, basically, as soon as they go up to the entrance, you see the statue of a caricature of basically a black servant, basically, in full on blackface and red lips and all those kind of things, a racist character, if you will.
Oh, well, it's one of them. One of them statues that you see, like basically out with the lantern out in the yards.
Yes, one of those things. This is clearly like an old racist character version of those, like to clearly signify immediately before you even see Endicott how he feels about black people, as being servile to the white race.
When Harvey is being chased through the woods, there are shots from Harvey's point of view as he looks around the woods. If you look at the bottom of the screen where you're supposed to see Harvey's shadow, his shadow is that of the cameraman with the camera clearly mounted on his shoulder. So, in the final scene when Gillespie puts Tibbs on the train, the shadow of the boom microphone can be seen on the station house. Calendars in the diner and the sheriff's office differ by many months. So, I mean, there's just the continuity of this stuff. Sometimes it's somebody just overshadows.
You just gotta drop the ball some ways. Like this film was only made for $2 million at the time, $16.9 million worth of today. That's a very modest movie even for that time. So getting some of those continuity errors wrong, it's forgivable.
And this is something I pointed out to Kyle earlier that I caught this during the movie. But when inspecting the body in the morgue, Tibbs inspects the left hand, and after placing the hand down, the body takes a short breath of air. So I was like, that is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
When Virgil is in the morgue help examining the corpse, the clock on the wall stays on the same time throughout the discussion and the examination. And it's supposed to be a very hot summer, yet Mrs. Colbert and Chief Gillespie are walking around in a coat and a jacket. So, very interesting. And Sidney Poitier is walking around in a suit most of the movie, so it's very interesting. And you always wondered why he never changed, because he had a suitcase there, you know what I mean?
He clearly had something to dress into, but
right.
Yeah.
But most detectives usually do dress up nice like that. So, Kyle, what's your thoughts, feelings, take on the movie In the Heat of the Night?
Well, I think I made my thoughts on it briefly throughout the entire podcast here, but this is definitely a movie I enjoy thoroughly. I love this film. This is my favorite Sidney Poitier film overall, and absolutely deserves all the awards it's got. and I think it's worth watching all the time. I've probably seen it probably close to a dozen times in the past year alone. So I think it's one of the favorite films of all time, and really enjoy it. It's incredibly relevant today, even, and it can be a hard film to watch for that reason. I understand that that's if you're in that kind of place in life right now, but it's also a very, very strong and powerful film in its own right. So I truly love it. Recommend anyone who has. It's definitely an adult film, so don't take kids to go see it, obviously. But if you're interested in mature crime drama, then you should absolutely check out this film. I love it and recommend it to anyone and everyone who's mature enough to appreciate it. So, Jimbo, how do you feel?
It's a great movie. It's my first time watching it. Sidney Poitier just plays such a great role in this film.
Amazing.
And it's kind of I'm kind of disappointed that he didn't win, male performer actor at the Oscars.
All those things kind of went to Rod Steiger,
right? Because Sidney Poitier's character in this movie was fantastic as Virgil Tibbs. It shows how the South was, and maybe some parts still is in America, and why racism was wrong. But man, just to see how the racist sheriff. And you know what? And the sheriff did point out that Virgil Tibbs was racist too, because if you remember the scene, he's like, he said, "Oh, so we're really not that different."
Oh yeah, you're just like all of us,
right?
Yeah.
And I thought, and then that's when Virgil Tibbs was like, "Oh man, I am."
Yeah.
And I liked it. I thought that was a great part of the movie because he had basically stooped to their level and. The same prejudices that they had, he may have had some too.
And when he caught it, he recognized it in himself and immediately kind of corrected that to actually get back on the case.
Right.
And I'm sorry, this is your review part there too, but I got to mention one more part too. Like, part of what I love about Rod Steiger's role in as Bill Gillespie is that he's of all the racist people in the story, it's clear that Gillespie is like an open-minded one. That as soon as he sees everything that Virgil Tibbs does. He immediately realizes that not immediately, but he begins to realize that all this racist baggage he has is complete hogwash.
Right.
Basically.
And I think you really see that come to fruition when they've got Virgil Tibbs cornered, the four white guys with chains and the tire irons and all that in that shed or whatever, that the cop walks in. And they all look at him. He's like, "All right, now just go on out of here." And they all just kind of look at him. What are you gonna do, Sheriff? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he ends up punching one in the stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all that. So I said, "Get out of here!" And he does something else to the other one. I can't remember. He just slaps him or something. And I think it's at that moment that you actually see the character development of the chief. You see a little bit before that, but
yeah, I mean, he's sometimes like it's messy in a very realistic way, where he's not he's aware of how absurd this all is, but also how powerless he is to change it. Where like he's still the chief. He still has to protect these people and like govern them as best he can, but also know it's like. The best he can really do for Virgil Tibbs is just get him out of town,
right?
Because that's for his safety and for the safety of the town. Because he knows that if Virgil Tibbs get murdered in that town, then like you've murdered an officer in the town, they're going to send FBI and all that kind of things. Like it's going to be a huge mess. For
and
that
I think
thing.
You see that when I don't want to give away too much of this movie because it's such a great. But you see that when the chief has the one suspect because he made a big donation or a deposit into his bank. He's like, "Look, I've been collecting this stuff. I take the smaller bills, I change them to $20 bills when I get enough, and I just deposit $600 into my account." He's like, "Yeah, and $600 is what is missing from the wallet of
Cosby, Colbert, yeah. Mr. Colbert,
and
not spoiling there, yeah,
right." And Virgil Tibbs was like, "I think you got the wrong person.
You got the wrong guy."
He's like, "Look, you need just to get out of here. The best thing you can do is get out."
Yeah.
And so he's leaving, and that's when that girl comes in. And this is where you find out that there's a pregnancy involved, an abortion involved, money exchanging hands, and the killer isn't who you thought it was. And I'm not going to say anything because you need to watch this movie.
It goes a lot of really crazy places.
And then just to see the end when Virgil's getting on the train, and the sheriff says,
I think it's like, watch after yourself.
Well, he says, "I'll see you later." And then he's walking away, and Sidney Poitier is getting on the thing. He said, "Hey Virgil," he said, "You take care of yourself now." He's like,
yeah. They both just kind of give a smile.
Yeah.
And both kind of realize,
so you kind of realize there was kind of a friendship there, even though there wasn't a friendship there. I guess
they have formed
mutual
appreciation for each other to some degree, and they're not going to be friends hanging out, but they're definitely like they recognize they're both good people at heart to a very strong degree, or at least it's Virgil realizing that, especially in Bill at the very least, and also Gillespie also realizing like Virgil's a good person in his own right too, and a respectable man, not just be seen as a lower black man.
Right. So definitely a great movie. Thanks, Kyle, for suggesting it. I really enjoyed it. Hope everybody else does too. Well, with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut.